What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo Thursday night. We've switched from Wednesday to Thursday, so if you were looking for us yesterday, we're here now. But we're going to be talking Andor, Episode 8. We're going to be playing some Gotham Knights. And don't worry if you're tuning in because you wanted to see Part 11 of Guardians of the Galaxy. We'll be playing it again. We just decided to take a break. It's a new game that's out. We're going to check it out, see how good it is. But before we get into it, Doug, how you doing, sir?
Well, Keith, let me tell you, I am fantastic and outstanding. You want to know why?
I do.
I am slurping down some delicious, delicious blue milk.
Yuck.
So good as we prepare to discuss Andor and how amazing this series just keeps getting. But you know what? I need a break so I can slurp down some delicious milk. So, Dave, sir, how are you doing?
I am grand. I got up this morning. I wasn't able to watch Andor yesterday. So I woke up this morning and watched it today. And amazing. It's incredible how much he can do. It's kind of like The Mandalorian, where he didn't talk much. Andor isn't talking much, and he's conveying so much. Without
he didn't even need to either, yeah.
Yeah, and he isn't even like, he's not even nearly in all the scenes, you know. There's a lot of the show that he's not in, and it's still the story, it's still telling a very good story. But we'll get to that in a minute. Keith, how are you doing?
Tremendous. Thank you for asking. Always looking forward to playing some video games, talking nerd stuff with you guys. Watching Doug drink blue milk, he really, really likes that blue milk. While I am drinking a tasty, what you would think is a Dr. Pepper, but it's zero sugar A&W.
You are so tricky.
It's like I'm rocking a rhyme that's right on time.
I'm going with the grape Powerade, no sugar.
Oh, extra fireball on the side?
No Fireball. I want to be able to function tomorrow.
Functioning at work is overrated.
Well, it was funny. Today while at work, while I was on a meeting, for some reason we talked about Last Call. And I was like, you know what? It has been many a year since I've been at a bar and they've called Last Call.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm up at Last Call, I've probably woken up.
So
I have seen Last Call just by being in a band, but you know, other than that, I've never been there recreationally in probably like 20 years.
Easily,
I
yeah.
had quite a few times that one bar that I met you guys at, that brewery, Supernatural Brewing. I have stayed there. They don't verbally announce Last Call, but usually when I start to see them sweeping and washing dishes and, you know, turning off the lights, I start looking around like, oh, well, I clearly have stayed too long. I think it's time to leave.
And that's Supernatural Brewing Company in Livonia on Plymouth Road. So if you're out there watching, head down. That's a great place. It really is a nice little place. Nice brewery. Got some good food. Good stuff there.
Yeah. And when they
Just
take off,
on that $5 plug too.
they just say, yeah, all right, Doug, lock up when you leave.
Leave some of the kegs full, please.
Right. I don't.
Good man. But we should get into it. Let's talk Andor. You know, this show just keeps the quality level super high. I just cannot get over how much I enjoy this show. This show was not action-packed in any way, but it was so good. I mean, you could just feel, like, the tension. I'm not sure what Doug's doing right now.
There we go. Sorry.
Oh, could you not hear us?
No. I just wanted to make sure that everything was all super duper. Since we
good.
don't have anyone in the chat yet.
Oh, I did check. I did check the sound too before we came on. So yes, everyone should be able to hear us. But
yep, we sound great.
See what happens. See what happens when we turn the game on.
I'd say, Keith, Dave, you both sound just beautiful.
Well, thank you, Dave.
Well,
Sorry about that. Didn't mean to interrupt you there, sir.
No, but he's right. It's not a lot of action, but everything makes sense and it all goes in the right direction. They don't need action when you got a really good story like this. I hope, other people are watching, because you don't have to have every minute be action, for it to be a good story. Some people just want the explosions and crap. I'm not that guy. I think if there's a reason for the action, it's much better.
I appreciate good world building. I appreciate good character development, and if they're taking time to, kind of lay out more about this the Star Wars universe, and maybe we don't understand yet, that we haven't gotten a chance to see, I appreciate that. I like it, and they're doing it so well too. It's not boring at all. Like, there are some times where there might be some media where it's a little bit more slow moving, and every now and again it's like, that's a filler. I could have done without that. But so far, Andor hasn't felt that way. At least not to me.
You get so many great scenes. I mean, you get the scene with Cyril against with the ISB, officer, and it was great. I mean, he wasn't backing down. He's like, it was great when she's like, and you've been set for, request for Cassian Andor. He was a missing fuel truck and this, and he's like, it's actually 5. She goes, I wasn't counting today. And even though they're basically probably on the same side, I mean, there's like tension between them. Like, she doesn't want help. I don't know, because she seems very confident on the outside. But we've seen in other scenes, like when it was earlier in the season when she against the one guy, and they were talking to the boss, explaining why she should be able to have access to these records. And you could tell when it was over, she was like, oh. So she was nervous, but she wasn't showing it. And
do you think she's constantly feels like she needs to prove that she can do things on her own in order to maybe, I don't know, rank up or whatever?
Yeah, I think everybody in the ISB is made to feel that way. And that's why when he was like, I can help, she's like, I don't need your help. Even though he could.
She's keeping him in the back of her mind, though.
No, she is.
I think you're right. Eventually, she's going to pull him up to the Empire. But go ahead.
You're absolutely right. She could use him, and she probably would be better off if she did. But that might be seen as weakness within the ISB, that she had to go out and get help from somebody else. So she is doing her best to keep him at arm's length and just saying, I just need the information for the report. I don't need anything else. And I think that is why the Empire and essentially bad guys always fail in the end, because they can't work together. It's too much of an ego. And we're starting to see that in her. And every character on this show, we've talked about this before, has such a great backstory, has such, an amazing depth to him. And it just showed in that scene. And in another scene that we'll talk about that was happening later in the show, which absolutely just blew me away.
Absolutely blew you away?
Absolutely.
No, even her boss is cool, because he was like, when he pulled her out of the meeting, and he was like, just watch your back. I think it was last week. Mm-hmm. Like, he's got depth right there, too. He isn't just like, I'm evil and you're going to do what I say. He's like, all right, if you want to move up, then you watch your back, because somebody's going to be stabbing it.
Oh, yeah. And, you do get that feeling that they are constantly doing whatever it takes to make themselves look good. Even her coworker, I guess, rival, whatever you want to call the guy who they mentioned in this week's episode, he purposely changed up the wording in that document that he had Cyril sign, that Cyril said he hadn't even read. Had changed up the wording to kind of cover it up and make it look like, oh yeah, everything's fine, makes me look good. And you have to wonder how many other people in the Empire are doing that on the regular to A, make themselves look good, and B, cover up mistakes that maybe the rebels like barely have to do much of anything, because the Empire is kind of like imploding in itself, just constantly screwing things up and covering it up.
And that's what happens when there's, only negative reinforcement. Mm-hmm. You don't come forward. Mm-hmm. When there's positive reinforcement and you go, hey, I messed up, I did this, well, we should handle it this way and this way. No, you get a better result. And you see that in the Empire. That's not how they operate. And man, I mean, so much really happened this episode. We had Cyril and the ISB officer. We saw Vel and Sintra. on Ferrix, looking for Cassian. You know, we see the increased Empire presence, and I forget what was the Patriot Act called? Porg?
Oh, I forgot what they called it now.
I don't know.
I meant to write it down and I totally forgot. But
Yeah.
you know,
we got Bix again.
but you see how I thought it was great. You see how what he did with the robbery affected him because he would have normally got 6 months, but then he gets 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets to that, you know, that prison, that work detention, I don't know what you want to call it. And, you know, we got Supreme Leader Snoke leading his floor. I guess that was before he became.
He was a slave.
Yes. But, I mean.
Oh, I'm sorry. A prisoner with a job.
Yes, thank you. A prisoner with a job.
249 days left. I mean, how do they measure a day in outer space, though? Do they just still go by the 24 hours?
Well, they're still on a
Use
planet.
like Coruscant time or something?
Yeah, it's the rotation of Coruscant around its sun or star.
Oh, so that would be for everybody in the galaxy, a day.
That's like the standard time, yes.
Gotcha.
Which would be really crappy, like if you're on, I don't know, like how big that world is compared to Coruscant, but if like their days are shorter, and you're thinking, oh man, yes, like already 12 days have passed. Yeah, no, 6. What? yeah, we're
imagine,
judging your days based on a completely different planet. That's
right.
not fair.
I mean, Tatooine is on the outer rim, right? So that's a big, I'm sure it has a big orbit around whatever sun it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
Oh, and let's not forget, besides the powerful performance by Andy Serkis, which I thought was amazing, Forrest Whitaker.
Yes, I am so happy
he just
we got
draws
to see
you
him.
in and just like, holy crap.
This was like waiting for Daredevil in She-Hulk because we knew Saul was going to come, and it's like when he finally showed up, it was like I was sitting there waiting. Okay, which episode is he going to appear in? Which episode is he going to be in? And when he finally showed up, it's like, oh god, yeah. And you could tell he was having fun with this role. Like he had been waiting to play Saw Gerrera again. He did such an excellent job.
Not the Saw Gerrera who had a breathing machine. No,
right now.
In his prime, Saw Gerrera.
Yeah.
And the scene between him and Lutheran was so great. It really showed, hey, it's not a rebellion yet. There's little factions everywhere that don't trust each other. And man, when he's like, you have the separatists and you have the New Republic people and he's like, they're not going to get along. I'm not working with them. I don't trust them. I don't trust you. And, he's like, and Lutheran doesn't back down. He's like, oh, you're living in a cold cave and you're begging for spare parts. Think about that. Yeah. And it's like everybody, has their own agenda and they're trying to convince everybody else. It's not this, we've always seen in the movies, oh, yay, the rebellion, we're all together and they're in lockstep.
Right.
And everything.
Yeah, this isn't the alliance yet.
Yeah, and it's great because everybody's going their own way. You see, and you see everybody how they're going to become a part of this rebellion, each with their own individual stories. You have Cassian's mom, who just will do anything to help with the rebellion, even though it's something minor, that's nothing. She kicks a door or smiles past the garrison, which we talked about last week. And then we have Bix, who, was trying to send that message to Luthen, who wouldn't take it because he knows I do believe it's Porg, but I'm not 100% sure now. But you see that, she's trying to send a message because she wants information because she can't get anything. He's not going to take it. And then, unfortunately, they're watching for transmissions. So they know where it came from. And, the next day they shut down that guy's shop. And they see her and they chase her down and get her. And what a wonderfully mean sort of, I don't want to say torture, but a way to get your means when she's like, no, leave him there till she comes in.
Mm-hmm. And then she pretended like it was an accident. I loved that, like superb acting.
Yep. And I even wrote it's funny, Bix's face when she was looking at the chair was horror.
Mm-hmm.
And then she immediately has resolve again. It's like, what a great job acting. You talked about, I don't know if it was on air or not, but we talked about, Diego Luna's performance without even having to speak, a lot like Pedro Pascal's in The Mandalorian. He just does such a great job with his nonverbal, acting. She does too. And I was just, between Forrest Whitaker, Bix, Cassian Andor, everybody on this episode just is Andy Serkis. They're all tremendous actors, and it's all coming together. And it's just, when I'm watching this the first time, I'm like utterly mesmerized by what's going on.
So, real quick, I'm curious, do you all have theories on what it was they were building in that prison?
I can only assume it's parts for the Death Star.
Yeah, that's what I would think. At the very least, a Star Destroyer,
Well, I read on Reddit, some guy had a theory that they were actually those pieces specifically that Andor was working on. They were the undercarriage to one of the scanner droids, whatever they're called, the probe
droids.
The
probe droids?
Yeah. He said if you look at it and you were to flip it the other way, the little cogs that come out the other end, he said they match up perfectly with what we've seen in the movies. And he said they're about the right size, too. I was like, oh, I hadn't even thought of that, because my first instinct was, oh yeah, these are probably pieces to the Death Star. But if you think about it, they probably don't have the enough people to sit there and keep sending stormtroopers or whatever else to all of these planets to keep order. They're probably going to need a whole bunch of probe droids to send out.
Well, yeah, and we know they send a bunch out, especially when they were chasing the rebels.
Yeah,
send them out to a bunch of planets. That makes sense. I just liked the fact that not only was Cassian punished for his crime, even though he wasn't caught, he got it because of that porg. But he's also seeing firsthand how they treat their prisoners, and the whole thing with them. Oh, if we're the first table, you get flavor in your food, like it's some big prize, like it's some competition. Now, of course, I'm competitive enough where I would try to win every time. I would fall into the Empire's trap. I'd be like, yeah, I want that flavor food, yeah. But it's
like
just
you would be the next Andy Serkis. You'd be managing your own floor.
Yeah, and it's just great. I mean, they thought out so much stuff. I mean, you're getting a guy who wanted no part of the rebellion, just wanted to run off with his money, and not only is he being punished unfairly, but he's also seeing how they treat their prisoners. And the scene when that guy got fried, when he jumped off, basically committing suicide in the thing, and they were like, how terrible they were about it. Instead of being like, oh my God, it's life. Oh, it's going to stink all night.
Yep.
I was like, damn, you've been working with this guy. And they're all like, and then it's like, oh, well, table 3 is going to be behind tomorrow because they're down a guy, so we can pass them. I'm like, holy shit.
Right?
God.
That was super messed up. The whole idea that somebody came up with electrifying a floor as a means of keeping prisoners in line. I don't know if that was designed and developed by the Republic or if that took Palpatine coming to power and the Empire to develop such heinous prison systems or something. Like I have to wonder, it clearly thought got put into it, and I really do want to know, was this the corrupt Republic towards the end of it, or was this the Empire?
That's a good question, because it's so great too, because they make a thing like, get your shoes off, put your shoes in the middle when you're getting on that transport, and you don't know why, and then you see the moon boots with the guards walking up, and I'm like, what are those? And then he's like, don't make me show you that again. I was like, God.
Also, did you notice that they were asking the people what their home planet was? And that's how they determined which prison they were going to go to. So because Cassian gave, his fake name and fake background and everything, that's how he ended up in the prison that they ended up taking him to. Had he, been truthful or made up a different, who knows where else he would have ended up. Well, he could have been doing even harder work than something like this.
Yeah. And, I mean, he couldn't give his real name, because as soon as that name popped into a prison system, they would have came and got him, because he is wanted by everybody. It's just,
I am still super surprised that they haven't photographed him at any point in detaining him and putting him into this prison. How has his photo not been re-entered into the Imperial records yet? Because I thought for sure that's what was going to happen in this episode.
Well, come on,
it shows they don't keep track, so they don't even care if they ever get out. You know, once
Oh,
they're in, they're in.
God.
And that's what I was thinking too. I mean, these guards, you could see even when they was coming in, they're like, stop, go, stand there, move, do this. And they didn't seem fully on point. I doubt they're really like, I'm sure the Empire's like, photo everyone, upload it to the Imperial records. And they're probably
we're not
like,
doing that.
who gives a shit? There's too many, we get too many new people every day, too many people die. It's not worth our time. And it's just so well thought out, so many things coming together, leading into Rogue One. You can see it building, and man, I cannot believe how good this show is. I was one of the ones who was out of us three. I was fired up about it, only because I was like, I think this could be really good. It could be interesting. You guys were kind of like, why are they doing a show about
I was
this?
skeptical.
And
I was very skeptical.
it has blown past my expectations. I thought it would be good, but I didn't think it would be this good.
I
didn't think it was
will
going this
fully
direction.
admit I did not think it would be good at all. When they had first announced that this is going to be a prequel about Cassian Andor, I'm like, that side character in Rogue One? I mean, who cares about his story? He was a dick. That was my first thought, and I'm like, there's no way this is going to be good. Like, I don't even... And I'm literally thinking that this entire series is literally going to be after he was already established in the, as part of the Rebels, and just following him on different Rebel missions. I'm just like, I don't care. I'm not even... whatever. And then when I first saw that initial trailer, I'm like, oh, hold up, this looks really good, though.
Well, think about,
Yeah.
I mean, the whole time they were showing Cassian in that prison, Mon Mothma was having a party, you know, and you see like both
I
sides.
love
Once
the comparison.
yeah, we talked about it last week a little bit. We see the ground people, we see the people on the streets.
The ground people.
Well, like Coruscant, you have the underworld, you have the mid, and then you have the uppers. But you see the the high ranking people in the Senate. You see them why they're leaning towards the rebellion and what's going on and who's leading them. And then you see ground level with the Bixes and the Cassians and everybody. And then you even see like the hardened warriors with Saw Gerrera in this episode, where the fact that they all came together to defeat the Empire was amazing, because they're just all nobody gets along, no one agrees. I mean, Luthen and Mon disagree on the way it should go. Even Saw looked a little taken back when he's like, yeah, the people got to suffer, so they'll rise up in rebellion.
Yeah, I think everybody's surprised that Luthen is actually saying that. I mean, he's not wrong, but at the same time, it's kind of messed up. Like, he's playing chess at this point. He's acting like what's the word I'm trying to... Oh, man. Like a general who doesn't really see his soldiers as actual humans whose lives he could be messing with. He sees everything as a piece to move against the Empire right now. And somewhere in the back of your head, that that's the kind of moves that need to happen. That's what needs to be done in order to actually get a rise out of the Empire, in order to actually get people to rise up and join the rebellion against the Empire. He knows that needs to be done. You know that it needs to be done. It's wrong. It's morally wrong. But, we wouldn't get a new hope. We wouldn't get a New Hope or, the rest of the original trilogy had none of that happened.
Well, and you see, like, Mon Mothma is at the highest level. She's living a good life, but she can see that what's going on is bad and is not good for people in general. But, like the Cassians and the Bix, they have to be shown firsthand why it's so bad. Like, Mon doesn't need to go to prison and be building parts for the Empire to realize I better do something or it's going to get worse. And I just think they've done a great job of, it's not everybody just like, yeah, that Palpatine sure is bad. I better grab a gun and fight him.
But also, at the same time, with Mon Mothma, I do wonder, because I don't know how often she actually goes down to, be with the ground people. So I wonder if she's speaking based on what she thinks is happening, on kind of her understanding, maybe what she's seen in videos, something like that. Like, is she still kind of disconnected from the whole thing, and that's why she's not realizing, oh my god, maybe we do need to work harder at combining all of our forces and maybe Because even by the time Rogue One rolls around, she still is not really on board with the way Saw does things.
Yeah, I think she understands that something is needed, but she only sees it in reports and probably like things like what happened to Cassian's home planet. You know,
Hmm.
she's reading the reports, but she's not actually seeing people starving. She's not actually seeing this, but she understands, and I don't think she's seen how gruesome it really is, but at least she knows something's going on. And, you know,
Yeah.
I was wondering while we were watching this episode and just if Bail Organa was not killed, do you think he would have been leading the rebellion and not Mon Mothma?
Oh, definitely. The role that he took in Rebels, working with Ahsoka to kind of get everything on all together. Yeah, definitely. I think he would have been.
I was thinking about that today just because she's a senator. She is in no way a
Hmm.
military leader.
Right.
And I was like, oh man, so she got kind of thrust into that because of what happened in Alderaan. And I just,
Hmm.
you know, they do such a good job of tying things in from those movies and kind of explaining it beforehand, which just does so much more for the show. And then
Are
the
you
one
saying
line,
that Bale was on the planet when it blew up?
he was.
Is that what you're saying?
It is.
Okay.
Was he
I
not?
missed- of course he was. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were questioning that too. I was like, oh, was he not? I'm like, is there something that I missed?
Is he,
He was one of the 6 billion who perished.
Yes.
I'm, I'm literally, Dave is having me question. I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch the movies. Did he like secretly? He's like hiding behind a tree and like, or he's like sneaking in the cave. I'm gonna kick Luke's lightsaber.
You know what it is? It's that watching that superb acting on that show just rubbed off on me for a minute. I
Well,
don't
it
think
worked.
anybody on that show is doing a bad job of acting. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
I started thinking, I'm like, wait, did Bale show up on something after that?
See,
It was
I
like
had
it was
no
like
clue.
it was like all the people when they were watching Solo and Darth Maul showed up, and they were like, "Wait, Darth Maul's dead." It's like watch the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
I thought, "Oh damn, I missed something." I'm like, "Damn it, what did I miss?" So good. But and the one thing I want to say too, before maybe we get into what's next, we can talk about some theories if we have them. When Luthen said to Saw, he goes, "The Empire's power will grow beyond the point where we can do anything to stop it." In that one line, I think said a lot of why he's trying to rush things, because he knows their window of opportunity is only so long. If they let the Empire get too powerful and too strong, no amount of rebellion is going to be able to stop them. And I think that's kind of hinting at the Death Star. Because just think, if they wouldn't have gotten together and gotten the Rebel Alliance together for that attack on the Death Star and New Hope to blow it up, if the Empire would have had that space station flying around just destroying their enemies, no one would have stood up to them. People just would have cowed down. No one would have wanted to join a rebellion when if you get caught, they're probably blowing up your home planet. So, you know, I thought that line had a lot of heat on it to why they have to do it. Even though he doesn't know about the Death Star, he understands that they're gaining power at a rapid rate. Just another awesome thing. Oh, nice.
You've been at work. Is that the Mandalorian?
It is.
Nice.
It's all this blue milk. See, it's good for the mind. It's good for the bones. It's really really good for the pancreas for some reason. I can't explain it. Not great on my liver, but that's all right.
But man, if this is the way Star Wars is heading, I mean, obviously, they haven't planned any movies. I mean, they have an untitled movie
Yep.
due out 2025. But I think the way of the Force right now, or their Star Wars, is TV shows. And I don't have a complaint because they've been excellent.
You know,
At
I
least
hear
the
word.
Mandalorian and Andor.
I hear word that Natalie Portman was asked to be in the new Star Wars movies, and you know, I don't know why, but I feel like she would actually be a really good fit in Star Wars movies. What do you think?
I think so. I think she's proven it in the past. She has proven that. She can take on that role.
Has she?
Okay, Taika, however you say his name.
Yeah. I still chuckle every time I think about that. It's like she had to have been like, did you not even see the prequels, man? Like,
why are they letting you make a movie? You haven't even
right?
seen the prequels.
But did you guys hear the latest Star Wars movie news?
No.
What about it?
Movie news?
Movie news. So I'm gonna
Not
move
letting
us
Kathleen Kennedy announce any of them anymore.
move it into tangent time.
Ooh,
So
Okay.
Damon, Tundra Walker is here. Greetings, fellow Table 5 workers. Table 5, Table 5. Little Simpsons reference. But Damon Lindelof, who did Watchmen on HBO, Lost, The Leftovers, is writing a Star Wars movie. And it's going to be
Okay.
directed by Miss Marvel's director. It
I
is
think you
going.
brought this up on Sunday night. Because I know I've heard this before.
I know I tweeted about it. I tweeted about it too.
Oh, that's what it was.
And basically, it's going to take place after Episode 9.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to maybe have some of the sequel trilogy characters in it. Nothing has been confirmed, but it is not going to.
Do that. That's okay.
No, exactly. They weren't committing to anything. They were like, they basically said it's going to be its own story, away from the Skywalker saga. Basically, it's going to be in the Star Wars universe. Is all they would really commit to.
Good.
And Tundra Walker said if Natalie Portman is in it, they should get Moon Knight's director. But I was kind of like, I like this. I thought, Lost was a tremendous show until the last couple seasons.
This guy wrote the finale.
Watchmen, well, Damon Lindelof wrote a lot of it. He wrote some of the beginning, and he did write the finale, which was wretched, but he also wrote and executive produced Watchmen on HBO, which was fantastic.
That was a good series. That was excellent.
So I'm hopeful. We know that Taika Waititi is supposed to have a Star Wars movie coming. Now we have Damon Lindelof with the Miss Marvel director. Kevin Feige is supposed to be getting a Star Wars one.
That's what I want to hear.
So,
Honestly, I don't understand why they don't just give it all to him and be like, "You get to write the whole trilogy. It's all you're the big guy. You're the Kevin Feige of Star Wars."
We'll take Feige away from MCU and have him do Star Wars for a while. That would be really interesting.
Does Feige really know Star Wars though?
I don't know, but he knows it better than what we've been seeing before these last two shows, Andor and
I would put Dave Filoni in charge, or even
well, they are in charge of the TV shows,
right? But I would put them in charge of the movie universe as well, like the entire if you're going to create a combined Star Wars universe, make them the big guy.
Oh, I agree 100%. Yeah, we've been saying that for years.
Oh yeah,
but they won't do it.
well, it sounds like they're even they said, if this movie does well, he'll get another. So they're not even committing to trilogies anymore. They're not like saying you're going to get a trilogy. Now they're just, I think, trying to reel stuff in and just have good stories out there, and then maybe it'll come to something. Because we know that supposedly the Mandoverse is going to all come together and have this big event, which could be a movie, could be just on Disney Plus, and maybe they're going to start building towards something with seemingly unrelated movies, kind of building towards something.
Interesting way to do it. So they're gonna do it more like the MCU rather than everything has to be in sets of trilogies, where maybe there's gonna be some connections, maybe there's some here and there. It's that's a contradiction, but whatever, we can look over it because of the larger connected universe or something like that.
And Tundra Walker makes a good point. I don't understand why they haven't gone off to Peter Jackson. He would probably
put in his Aussie accent there too. Off the Peter Jackson.
Off to Peter Jackson. And congrats on having midweek audio. Wait, is that a good thing?
Hey, way to go, Keith.
Thank you, thank you. I made sure.
Hey,
You know, I heard
you
this
gotta
critic
praise him
today.
for more than that. He actually has the title right as well, so make sure you say good job on both fronts, Keith.
Thank you, thank you. I appreciate it.
I got a quote from a critic this week. It's hilarious. You know how Ryan Johnson said he wanted to subvert expectations with the Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
The critic said Disney is subverting. No, Lucasfilm is subverting his expectations and not letting him release a trilogy. Yeah. All right. I thought it was funny.
I chuckled.
Yeah, I chuckled. I guess I didn't think it's as funny as you did. I am looking forward to Glass Onion, the Knives Out sequel, coming November.
Gonna be good.
November 23rd, something like that. Yeah, I'm hoping
It's coming to theaters too, right?
Yeah, it's theaters November, I think 23rd, or 24th, and then December 23rd on Netflix. So that should be good, hopefully. But okay, now we should maybe talk. Hold on, let me get ready for this. Let's talk what's next for Andor.
Yes.
Any thoughts?
Well, we're on episode 9, right?
That we just watched episode 8. So yes, episode 9 is next.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 left in the season.
4.
What's going to happen?
9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah. What do you think?
Okay. Did you have something?
Well, I was just going to start. JT,
go ahead.
who Doug and I work with, friend of the channel, Jay Fizzle on Twitch, if you're out there. He was like, he thinks, his theory for how Cassian is going to get out of jail, he's going to fake his own death with the floor. He said they're so nonchalant about it, he's going to fake his own death. He's going to get out of that complex by faking it. I don't think that's...
because the only time the Empire comes is when they're bringing in somebody new or taking out a dead body.
Yep.
So that's the only time in or out. Makes sense.
To a point, I feel like they would have ways of checking that, though.
Yeah, it would be... I mean, how does he get... Because the floor's on. So he would have to jump on it and survive and be able to get out after it. I have my own thoughts on it, but Doug, if you have something, you certainly can go. Oh,
I do. So I was rewatching a couple of those scenes, and it looks like in some areas of the prison, they actually have those boots just kind of hanging up on racks. And I don't know if they just have everybody, so frozen by fear and, like, oh my God, I've got to keep in line or they're going to literally fry everybody and turn on the floor. And level 1 is bad enough. I can't imagine what 2 or 3 would be like. But I'm wondering, Andor seems like, Cassian, he doesn't seem like one who would... He'll play the game so long as, he needs to. But I also noticed that he was watching the 2 guys with the hand signals. And I think he's going to end up talking to them and be like, hey, what do you guys got going on? What are you planning? Because I saw you were communicating with somebody all the way on the other side of the prison. I'm betting we can figure out this whole hand signal communication, and I'm betting we can find a way to get those boots. They're literally just hanging there, like out in the open. I bet you they can get them, and that would be their foil. That literally the floor is the only weapon that these guards have. I didn't see them with anything else. They don't have tasers or batons or anything like that. No,
well,
I didn't even see any.
Yeah, they do. They got.
They did.
They did. The one guy had a taser, but when they walked in, the guy even said, "You'll notice that we don't have any blasters or weapons." And you're probably thinking, "Why?" And he zapped him. And Tundra Walker said, "Come on, he's going to lead a revolt. That's how he gets from mercenary to hero of the rebellion." And I think that's.
I could see that.
Yeah, I think you're right. They're going to get a hold of boots or figure something out. They definitely outnumber the guards by a wide margin. So as soon as they can take away that one weapon from them, they can even up the odds. The only thing that's difficult is how do they get off of there? There's probably not a lot of transports that can fit a bunch of people at a time. So they'd have to control that garrison for a while to be able to get everybody off. I think...
What if rather than faking a death, what if that guy who committed suicide What if they're waiting for the Empire? Like, do they come right away, or do you think it's going to be a couple of days? And the next episode is Cassian realizing we've got like a small window of time where we can plan this and carry this out, sort of like the small window of time that they had to pull off their heist. He's going to realize, look, the Empire will be here to pick up this body and maybe drop off another shipment. That's our chance. That's when this has to go down.
And then, yeah, who is he going to take? I was thinking, too, after we heard Luthen and Saw talking about this guy needs air support, maybe they don't know Andor's there, possibly, but maybe we see a rebel attack against this because they know that factory is producing, weapons that could harm them, whether it's probe droids, whether it's part of the Death Star. We may see an attack, and it could be Saw's team. It could be, someone else's team that comes in and starts, blowing that place all to hell, and then they can escape that way. And it'll be like they're attacking, and then they get the boots. They find a couple transports, because not everybody's going to get off of there, but obviously we know Cassian Andor does. So I think there's going to be something a little bit out of his control. I think he will be putting something together, because you're right. He knows that they can communicate to different floors and different things, and they can get people together. So I think they're going to start getting people together, because I think at first he was fine. He's like, I'm going to just do my 6 years. I can do this every day. I'm just not going to worry about it. It sucks. But then when they were like, oh, they just tripled our sentence. And the one guy was like, listen, you're not getting out of here. It's all a game. The whole flavoring of your food, the whole number countdown in your cell, you're never getting out of here, dude. And I think that's when he really started to realize, okay, I can't just wait out the 6 years. I've got to get out of here.
I wonder if they, in that prison, like, tack on random infractions, like, oh, you were slow at your table, so you get, like, another year, or, you get another, like, 60 days, or, you looked at me funny, so that's another, 6 months.
Your floor leader, Supreme Leader Snoke, said you were eyeballing him, and you're a maggot. You get 5 more years.
Right. It's like, so they constantly make sure they're keeping a workforce. They're not going to let, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think they plan on letting any of them out. They're going to die in that prison.
Yep.
See, and that's another way that the show is really good, and the way that we mentioned that he doesn't talk because he's observing. Like you said, he saw the boots, and so they're sprinkling in that in there. You've seen it, and by the time it comes up again, you're going to be like, "Oh, sure, of course he was watching. That's how he learned how to do that shit. That's why you play that shit really slow,
Yep.
And it's funny too because he doesn't give any information out about anything. When they were asking, oh, what about the heist on El Dani? What heist? What are you talking about? He just plays dumb on everything. He just wants to get by without doing it. And I think we're going to see that attitude changing as things go by. But it'll be interesting.
How Luthen gave Saw credit for the heist.
Yeah.
And he kept pushing it on him.
Right, they kept
you keep
going back and forth with each other.
Yeah. But I don't think Saw thinks Luthen did it after that exchange. I think that it's just a mystery to Saw after that little conversation.
But when he was saying that, and I'm like, okay, he has probably that 80 million credits. How is he going to start using it? I mean, he's got to find a way to start, giving this money. He pretty much financed it, got it together, did all this. He at least knows where it is. I'm sure it's a team he may have together. But, I mean, he's got to start financing these rebel cells. I mean, they need ships. They need weapons and stuff. And I don't know if we're going to see what his plan is to do this or how it's all going to play out. But I was pretty shocked that he didn't say to Saw, when he started saying, oh, you're living in a cold cave, and I thought he was going to offer, let me build you a garrison, let me do something to get your ship, but he never did. So I'm totally trying to, totally lost in what he's going to do with all this money. He's obviously super committed to this rebellion, but the fact that he keeps playing off that he didn't pull this heist and doesn't have those credits makes me wonder what he's going to do with it all.
I don't think Luthen wants a connected rebel alliance. I think he prefers it as little, guerrilla cells here and there. It seems that way anyway. Maybe he thinks somewhere in his mind. I could be reading too much into it, but maybe he thinks in his mind that that's what's going to make them more successful if nobody can track who did what.
Well, that's certainly, I think now, where at the stage they're at now, you're absolutely right. They don't want, because the Empire could easily
He's
go
what,
in.
right?
Absolutely right.
He's absolutely right.
But because, the Empire figures out one little cell does it, they can wipe them out pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
But excuse me, when he was talking to Saw, he wanted them all together. He wants the. Why are you looking like that?
It sounded like you were.
That sound you made, man. It was like you were in trouble. Are you okay?
I'm dying over here.
Oh boy. Okay, I guess we're carrying on.
But he was talking to Saw about coming together and working with these people. He's like, we gotta work together to pull some stuff off. He's got a plan, but he needs your air support. So I was like, nah, nope. So I think Luthen does want to get people together, not too quickly, like they can't all meet out now. But I think his long-term goals is to have that rebel alliance.
Okay.
And I hope it is Saw's team that comes in and blows the crap out of that factory on the water world, something Narkina 5 or whatever, that frees Cassian.
So I think we accidentally did a tangent time of what's next.
We did.
We got to talking about the actual episode proper again. Not what we think is
right. It's not right. We said we're going to be playing Gotham Knights, and we're an hour in, and we haven't done it yet. So we're doing a lot of tangenting.
Oh, we're talking about Andor, and that's all good. Well, do we have any other theories, thoughts on what's coming? What's next for Andor?
No, I like your guys' theories.
Yeah, the only thing that I can think of is I'm pretty sure he's got to be able to break out by the next episode. Unless that's going to be like their final episode of the season, big like finale thing where it's this huge plan and, he's talking to all the other prisoners and we get a, "You son of a bitch, I'm in," from all the other prisoners.
Well, and the question is, where is Bix going to go?
Well,
Bix is looking for Tim's brother Tom with 2 M's. And, they're going to start a happy family.
Well,
Tommy Lee.
She's with the ISB, and are they going to send her to prison? What are they going to do? Are they going to try to use her as bait to lure Andor back to Ferrix?
I don't know if they do prison on that world. It seems like they're a little more quick to hang people.
Well, true, but we know that they're using prison workers to get things done. Mm-hmm. And I think they'll want to keep her alive because having ties to Cassian, they may want to use her as bait to bring him back and try to set a trap for him.
One thing I do know about her is that she can run fast.
Not fast enough.
It wasn't like Tom Cruise fast, but she was booking. She
wasn't quite Ezra Miller fast.
Yeah, no. I mean, Ezra Miller's. It's amazing that he's not in jail. He's so fast.